Hey guys, welcome to the Jesus People podcast. This is episode 3, and super excited to have David Latting.
Yes.
What I've heard this phrase coined, the most hated social media Christian influencer, I shouldn't say the most hated, the person who gets the most hate on social media.
It's up there for sure.
I've seen some people like trying to like level themselves up and be like, I get so much hate on social media because I preach the truth. Well, I mean, David gets more than me, but
yeah, dude,
because no one can really top you.
It's nuts. It's I'm definitely. I think because I was the most, like,
you were the OG
face. I was not the most face. I was the earliest. I was there.
Yes.
You know, I was
Yes.
like the front line kind of guy.
I-
So now there's like hundreds of thousands of little Christian influencers.
Dude, and
There's so many, but they're like hidden behind my face because
Bro.
I'm the one who was crying first.
yeah. I remember seeing David Latting copycats.
Dude,
If you
there's
guys-
so many of them.
If you weren't part of the 2020 TikTok takeover,
Yeah, dude.
Christian evangelism, which was awesome. We're gonna
Right.
get into it. Like, it was revival, but you were clearly the face.
Yeah.
And you were very intense, which you still are,
Super intense. Yeah.
and which is awesome.
It's lit. It's great.
It's great. But I would see these little like 14-year-old kids
Yeah.
popping up, and it was like they studied you. And I'm not gonna lie, this is full transparency hour. I studied you too. When I first started, I would watch his videos. I'm like, this guy's so good. And so I'd go home. I remember like watching your videos while I was driving, or like, well, for my wife, I was at a stoplight.
It's true.
Yeah. And I remember going home being like, okay, I gotta do it like that. And it just didn't work.
Right.
It doesn't work. It
Yeah.
was clearly your thing. But anyway, if you
best.
guys don't know David Latting, you are a pioneer of Christian social media, and you're 21 years old,
Now I am 21. Yeah.
which is wild to me.
Yeah.
Because back in 2020, how old are you?
I was
Let's do some math.
17, 18.
Dude. Yeah, crazy.
I was a
And
young guy.
crazy impact. So take us through, because you've told me now that we know each other well, I kind of know a bit of your backstory. You were not a believer for that long,
Yeah.
and you were reaching millions a night.
Yeah.
So let's go into like, what is your background, your upbringing, your family?
Yeah. So I was a really weird cat. I was so obsessed with life after death. I was so obsessed with God, but it took a very weird turn. Right around the ages of 8 and 10, I got very, very critical, to the point where I would cry and cry and cry at night because I wanted to believe in God so bad. But there's a part of me, 10 years old, I couldn't do it. I was never introduced to atheism. I went to a Christian school. I was learning Latin and memorizing Bible verses and some eschatology in like 3rd grade. You know, like, it was weird. I went to a very reformed school. I do not know where it came from, but the very critical side of me it overcame me. And so from ages really 10 to 14, I was so existential. I became so pessimistic, like, and I wouldn't say suicidal, but I would ponder death too often for a young guy. And then it became appetizing because I was so tormented. Like, I remember being on my couch, like, just crying, like crying and crying and crying and crying, like literally tears of hopelessness. And it terrified me. I remember being awake at night in my room, and I couldn't go to bed. I literally could not sleep because I was like, what's going to happen to me when I die? Like, is God real? Is God real?
But what's beautiful about your content is it was very gnarly.
Yeah.
But it was very authentic.
Yeah.
And it was very Jesus.
Yeah.
And so, like, because you actually believed stuff like, I
Right.
want to be martyred.
Right.
And people would go, what the heck? This kid looks like an Abercrombie model, like crying about wanting to go to the Middle East.
Right.
Because he's breaking down in tears because people don't know Jesus.
Right.
But there was no facade.
Right.
It wasn't, nobody watching it was like, I think this kid's acting. I think this
Right.
kid wants views, because
Right.
you would literally be like, take my life,
Yeah.
take my platform.
Come on,
And you did get deplatformed.
Yeah.
And
Multiple
you put out
times.
videos. I remember seeing these videos of you where you'd be like, praise God, they took down my 1.5 million like follower page on TikTok. And I'm like, bro, if if a video doesn't do well for me, I'm like, persecution.
Right,
like,
right.
I'm like, what? No, there was a good video.
Yeah.
And it would bum me out. But for you, you were like, bring it.
Yeah.
So that's where it came from.
Yeah, that's where it came from. Just because I wanted to give everything. And so like when I would be deplatformed, my massive following, I would be like, this is what I did it for. Like come what may. I think it's always been my perspective.
Because you're realizing the significance of your platform. And I mean, just let the listeners right now understand what that was, because I was there in 2020. Like, I wasn't fully on social media yet, but I remember seeing you.
Yeah.
Even our filmer right now, it was like, I saw a video of you 3 months ago on this big platform getting slammed.
Yeah.
Like in a video from 4 years ago. So what was that like in that moment where you're reaching? I mean, I can't even fathom 100 million or 1 billion likes.
1 billion likes.
That means that just doing quick math, you're reaching what, 4 billion people, 5 billion people?
Yeah, it's freaky.
It's insane.
It's freaky.
At 17?
Yeah. And because of my authenticity, people came to me with authenticity. So people have always just come up to me weeping, like crying their eyes out and saying like, you don't know like what you've done. And like crying and crying and crying. You know me, I'm a crier. So I start crying. I'm like, I don't know what happened. And they like, it just changed everything. And like, it's happened so many times. And it started happening at the camp, and then it started happening later. I remember one time I was at another camp, and I was with a friend. I just drove him there because he was speaking, and I stop and I drop him off, and a girl like runs up to me, and she's like, "Are you David?" I'm like, "Yes." She goes, I'm at this camp right now because of you. I'm at this camp. And then she just starts weeping. She goes, like, you don't know what you did. Like, you helped me wake up. And oh my gosh, it's so crazy. And I'm like, really? I'm not crying at all. I'm like, wow, praise God. She's like, yes, thank you. No picture, no anything. She just walked away and thanked me. And I went around the corner. I just dropped to the floor. And I remember just crying like this and going like, oh, Jesus, it was worth it. Like, just that one kid. It was nuts. It was crazy.
Things like that. And that's what I think is so unique and so inspiring, that I've always been inspired. You're one of my first calls when I'm like, I need prayer for something, or I need to chat through something.
Yeah.
But it's the truth. It's not, it has nothing to do with age or life lived. It has to do with like the fact that your heart was meek.
Yeah. Where I'm now seeing the other side of life, before I didn't want to get married, I was like, I'm going to just be, I want to go and preach the gospel all the time, which is awesome.
Yeah,
but
I was like, calls from you like, hey, I think I might go to Iran right now.
Yeah, I might go to the Iran.
Like, oh my gosh, dude.
Yeah. Now, that was true, and I still might go to a special place.
Fully. I believe you.
Yeah. But I might go to a special place. A cool place where they, there's sand and stuff there. But it's been kind of a ringer for me as well to learn beauty of family, of still and quiet life, of not having to be the hero. So Jesus has been taking me on a very humbling route. It started with me moving. I went to Dallas, Texas for 1.5 years. I joined a mission organization. I did tours across the United States, 2 tours. Military, 2 tours across the United States. But I would preach in certain stops, and it was super fun, and kind of like YWAM. It was very YWAM-y. So like we would go to these places and preach the gospel, do a worship night, and then we would move to our next stop. We would do like 15 stops over the period of 3 weeks.
And I'm assuming at this point you're getting asked to speak everywhere.
Yes, I am. Some of the biggest conferences that I know of, I was getting asked to speak at. But I was living with a man at the time who said to me, he said, "You're not ready to speak at all." He said, "You're not ready to communicate. You need to say no to everything for at least 1 year." And so that's a whole other story of how I was living with him.
Which would you agree with?
No.
So in a way, you had your platform on social media taken away from you, and then you have your speaking opportunities, which you and I both know other people who were a fraction of your size who are now on speaking circuits like crazy because
Right.
they hit at the right time.
Yeah.
And you had that opportunity taken,
Yeah.
which is so gnarly, but so beautiful in a way.
Yeah.
Would you, well, I don't want to put those words in your mouth. What do you,
Well, God, I believe God's divine, and I believe that God is powerful. So, basically, right out of high school, before I moved to Dallas, I got offered all these jobs. I had no idea what to do. And I got this fluke opportunity to talk to Francis Chan. He said one thing to me specifically, because, you can't just tell a random kid what to do with their life. But he said, the one thing that changed my life was I lived with a young couple, and it taught me how to be a husband, a father, and a son. And me and Francis we do not have like the same upbringing at all. His was very, very intense. It's the craziest story ever, if you have time to listen to it.
but similar in many senses
Of the result of feeling lonely, isolated. My parents, they would drink a lot, and being home was never fun, ever. Alcohol ruined my family, my upbringing. My dad, he never hit me. My mom never physically abused me, but so much emotional damage was done because of alcohol. And it has resulted in me not trusting. I'll just say this: it resulted in me when my parents would tell me like, "David, we love you," I'd be like, "I don't know," and that would do something to a 12-year-old. I remember having to go to my room in my garage. I remember it was my garage one time, and my dad, he had a blow up moment, and I go to my garage and I say, "When Dad says I love you, do not believe him." I was young. I said that. I was like, "Do not believe him. Do not believe him."
so now you're going from that, Francis Chan gives you the advice.
Yeah, to be a husband, father, and son. I'm like, this is what I need, because I feel like I've never had a dad present in my life.
Yeah.
Like, really dad, throwing baseball with the son type vibe. Never got that. And this man, he offered me to live with him a week after I talked to Francis.
Wow.
So I'm like, cash, right? I'm like, this is what I prayed for.
Yeah.
This is what I want. This is what I needed.
Yeah.
And out of all the jobs, I said no to all the other ones. I'm like, I'm going to go live with this man and his wife.
Which there were some other pretty significant jobs that were offered.
Very significant.
We're talking like
tours across the world.
with big names.
Big names, yeah.
Yeah.
And I said no, I'm going to go. Because again, at this point now, like, I don't care about like the money or the fame or the notoriety or where I can go. I was like, I want to be where God is. So I chose small town Dallas, raising my own salary, living with a young couple. And I did. And very early on, the man, I didn't know him at all, but I just trusted him because I feel like the word from the Lord I got from Francis, and I thought it would be perfect. I thought it'd be great. And the man, he's not evil at all, but I think he just didn't know how to disciple. I was the first guy he ever poured into. He opened up his home to me. That was incredible.
Yeah, that's dude. Even now with kids, I'm like, that's a big move.
And he did it while his wife was pregnant.
Yeah, that's big. Move. That's
Like, are you kidding me,
tight.
dude? That's so insane. And he taught me so many good things. And I love him so much to this day. It changed a lot for me. But he said that I couldn't speak for a year. I remember I went out to go to his speaking engagement. It was like 800 people. I was so stoked. I felt just so on fire. They offered to fly me out on their own plane and stuff. It was like a real deal one. And I went. It was epic. And I get back and he's like, "You're not ready, and you're not going to speak for at least a year." And that militaristic side of me, that's just like honor, death. I was just like, if this is what God wills, He has put me in this man's house, I will honor this man. Type. I was like, all right, as you wish. So I said no to everything, like engagements with like 30,000 people, like stadium events. I said no to because this man said not to because I'm not ready, and it damaged me. I feel like I lost because I'm a communicator. Imagine you want to play baseball professionally and your coach is like, don't touch a baseball for a year.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, what?
Mhm.
Okay. You know, then when you go to play baseball again, you know, you can't expect to throw pretty good.
Mhm.
So like, I like lost my voice. That there's still a militaristic part of me. I decided, all right, if I can't speak in engagements, I'm gonna preach to a tree for a year.
Mhm.
So in the backyard, I like would go out to this tree. I would just like preach the gospel to this tree, rain or shine. I would preach in thunderstorms and in the snow and in the summer. Like, I would preach the gospel to this tree every day for a year. And I did. And I was like, that's what I gained. Like this just super like hardcore.
Mhm.
Like
You grew out your beard.
I grew out
You-
my
you
beard.
shaved your head.
yes, lost my platform, grew out my beard, shaved my head, preached to a tree.
People were like, "What happened?"
To you. I came back to social media like I was Moses, you know? I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
But during that time was the most insane encounters I have ever had with Jesus. The most radical moments I've ever had. And it shaped me as a man.
Tell me some of those.
There was 3 lessons that I learned in Dallas that stuck with me to this day. It's like it's been a long time. It's been like 2 years, but they changed my life. One was this. I was going through a season of just absolute testing of my faith. It was like the atheism came back, which was wild. So during my D platform, I was away from everyone, isolated. I had no friends in Dallas. Nothing. All my friends were 30-year-olds, like, because I was part of this organization who had like 15 people in it.
That's so old, 30-year-olds.
I know. You know, but I'm like, you know, I'm 19, you know, I have kids, you know, I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah. You're still my friend.
Yes.
Yeah, because I'm cool.
Yeah,
I'm Gen Z.
You're sick.
I'm
You're
hip,
sick, right?
dude. Yeah.
But like, could you imagine me hanging out with you every day?
I would be awful. I'd hate it.
I would
I'm just
hate
playing.
it.
No, dude, let's do it.
But but it was like odd, you know. It was definitely
Yeah.
odd for me, you know, because I'm used to like, you know, cliff jumping with friends, but
Yeah.
now I'm gonna go play golf, you know.
Yeah.
But I was isolated. That's what I was trying to say. I was isolated.
Yeah.
I had no friends my age, which kind of sucked. A little bit.
Totally. Yeah.
In
a Dallas suburb.
Yeah, Dallas suburb.
Families.
Yeah, dude. Kids laughing all the time. I was like, dude, what the heck is going on, dude? No, I'm just kidding.
No joy.
No joy. But I was going out to the woods all the time and just walking with God. I got a walking stick and I like cut down this tree a little bit with a saw. I bought a saw and I shaved it down, and I read in the Bible, or no, I read in history where shepherds and you know, back then would like carve their story in their walking stick and their shepherding stick.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm gonna do that. So I carved my testimony like with a wood burner. Took hours doing it. I still have it. So awesome. I love it. But like just all these images like wrapped down this, you know, this stick. And every time I'm encountering the Lord, I would like carve a new image into it. And but my faith was so radically tested during this time. Atheism came back. It was crazy. Like super skepticism. Like, is God even real? Stuff that the questions I was asking in 5th grade came back stronger than ever. But it was literally an outside source. Like, it was not my brain. It was torment. It was crazy. It was like, I would wake up at 4 a.m. literally, and it was like someone was on top of me saying, Jesus isn't real. You're delusional. And I would literally hear like a separate voice say that. I'm like, what the heck is going on? This is weird. It was like it was supernatural.
Super demonic.
It was freaky.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't want to believe it. I never did, and it was never tempting to believe in atheism again. But it was so it was like a knife was at my throat. And I would cry and cry and cry all the time. Because I'm like, Jesus, make it stop. Make it stop. Make it stop. And it was like that for like 2 months. I was like, it was bad. I felt like I was going insane. And I go out to the woods one day, middle of nowhere, and I have my stick, whatever. I put it down, and I'm like, Jesus, where are you? And I'm screaming, like no one's around. I'm in the middle of Texas, at a riverbed, like I said 10 times. I'm on the ground, hands to the heavens, and I'm just like, God, I need you. But then something switched in me, and I said, like, faith hit me, like grace, and I just start smiling and laughing. I go, but even if you don't meet me now, I'll still serve you forever. And it was this radical switch from 2 months of hopelessness
Yeah.
to like
One choice.
one choice of us like, kill me.
Yeah.
Like a crazy like smile, you know, like I'll do whatever Jesus wants. You know,
Yeah.
that same hit that when my platform was removed,
Yeah.
I was just like, come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
That hit me.
Yeah.
Like this, like it was like the last point, you know, when the superhero's being beaten down.
Yeah.
He's like, and then he gets hit by his like, you know, he remembers his mom. He's like, yeah, and he like, you know, he smacks the bad guy. It was like that moment for me of just like, God, dude, like, this is it, come what may.
Yeah.
And as soon as I said that, it gets freaky. When I grew up, my mom would always tell me, Dave, you have hawk eyes, because I could see everything. Like she would lose her keys, I would find it. And so it was so funny when I gave my life to Jesus 2 years prior. I would see hawks all the time, and Jesus never spoke to me audibly, but whenever I would see a hawk, I feel like the Lord was saying, David, I see you.
Yeah.
Like, David, as a kid, you would see everything, but David, I see you.
Yeah.
And it would be at times of hardship. You know, I went through a breakup right when I got saved, and a hawk would come, and I would feel peace.
Yeah.
God sees me now.
Totally.
And
I think the Lord does that.
yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah. Because if he doesn't, it's still a wild story. But I was down at the river bay, down at the river, and I said, Jesus, you can do whatever you want with me. And I hear a scream, like, yeah. And I'm like, I get jumped, and I look down, and a hawk like this big, like the wingspan was huge, flying right at me. And I go like, oh my gosh. It was enough to like knock me back and fall, because the thing went like right up next to me, like full wingspan.
Yeah.
Like, whoa! And I fall to the ground, and it lands like
almost hits you.
almost hits me on beams like right above me. It's like 3 feet above me, like it's just like on a branch looking at me. And it has its wings up like this. And I'm like, you know, like, you see me, God, like God sees me, and then it screams again. Like this is like out of a movie.
Yeah.
And it jumps down, it lands right next to me and just looking at me. Now this bird's big. It's freaky big. It's like this big, you know. It's a red-tailed hawk. They're very aggressive birds. And a little detail about these birds, are my favorite birds. I love them to death. They have crazy vision. One, they can see a head of a dime from the top of a Washington monument to the ground. They have great vision. They are extremely aggressive. They hate being touched. They hate like you never grab because their beak. But the most dangerous part about these birds is their claws. So they have talons that are like 2, sometimes an inch, 2 inches long, big talons, and they're sharp. And the grip. So a human man, I looked this up on Google. I don't know how accurate it is, but it gives a kind of a good grasp of what this bird is capable of. A man's hand, average, can squeeze up to 70 pounds. I can grab 70 pounds, a grown man in his 30s, 40s. A hawk, a red-tailed hawk, fully grown, can grab up to 200.
Wow.
Pressure. To show you the difference.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. You see them at bird shows, they have the freaking gloves.
Yeah.
One, because of talons, but 2, because the things can grab.
Well, you see them picking up like baby deer and stuff.
Yes. And the hawks are light. It's like an ant. You know, ant's not strong. No, it carries like triple its body weight. Like, this bird's dangerous. Google says, do not touch, do not pet, and whatever you do not grab. It was like listed in those 3 things. Do not touch red-tailed hawks.
And it lands right by.
It lands right next to me. And I hear the Lord. Now, I never really hear the Lord. I've never really heard the Lord audibly, except for a few moments where it was clear as day.
Yeah.
It was like a voice talking like right here.
Yeah.
Like literally a whisper.
Yeah.
And I literally hear like, pick it up. Like laughing. Like, pick it up. Like smiling. And I go, and I remember, I haven't heard the Lord's voice in 2 months. And the first thing he responds to me is like with a joke. And I'm like, I remember it going, what? Are you kidding me? You know, there's a hawk there now. No. Like, what? Like, this is insane. Like, are you insane? You know, I'm like freaking out in my head. We read stories about Abraham and him being like laughing that God said have a son. You know, how, you know, he's God. But then God tells me to pick up a hawk, and I'm like, I start arguing with the Lord. which is just funny, human nature. But this hawk starts jumping back, like hopping backwards, like playing with me. And I'm like, and in that moment, I knew that if I don't go and grab this hawk, that like, the moment's gonna leave. I'm gonna miss something. I just knew it. Like, this is a special moment's gonna leave. So I run up to the hawk. I just grab it by its wings and I put it on my arm like a pirate, like this.
Yeah.
I'm like, and I just like felt like I heard the Lord laughing, and I then I heard this, and I said, the Lord said, I not only see you, but I'm with you. You know, and I'm just like, Jesus, you know, this is incredible. The hawk's talons, they didn't even touch me.
Wow.
It was like this. People listening can't see, but the hawk wasn't gripping me, and the talons were folded over. The on the other, like, it was perfect. I wasn't touched by the hawk. For 30 minutes, it stayed with me. And what did I do? I did everything Google told me not to. I pet it, and it was just like it just felt like such a biblical moment, you know. Like, man, I've read stories about this.
Yeah.
And now I'm here with this bird. This is wild. And it's crazy because a thought came in my mind, a really demonic thought. It criticized this moment, and it said, it's hurt. And I literally remember a thought coming in my mind. Remember that hummingbird that you were able to pick up as a child because its wing was broken? It's the same thing here. Because when I was a kid, I saw a hummingbird and I picked it up, but the wing was broken because it couldn't go anywhere. I thought my mind was like, oh, this bird's hurt. That's why it's doing this. That's why it's letting me touch it, because it's in a weak position. And the bird screamed as soon as I thought that.
Wow.
I can't make sense. People are gonna think I'm lying, man.
Yeah, dude. Okay, so let me interject here.
Yeah.
People are gonna think you're crazy.
Yeah.
We have video evidence.
Oh, should I show the videos?
I mean, yeah. Pull it up.
Okay.
Because you called me after this moment,
Yeah.
freaking out.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, yeah, of course, David picked up a hawk.
Yeah.
Like, that makes total sense.
It's nuts, dude. Let me try to find it here in a second.
Here, you keep talking.
Okay.
I think you sent it to me.
Okay,
I'm gonna try to
you
find
can
it.
find it. But the bird screams, and the bird pooped, and the bird flew away.
Yeah.
As soon as I thought that thought.
Wow.
So God was in a funny mood that day, because it was just nuts. So that was a pretty significant encounter that I had with the Lord. Obviously, a moment of faith, a moment of just like.
And right after, you're like getting hit with demonic whispers in your ear,
with
not
the
encountering the Lord.
Yeah, and I
You've
wasn't
now-
crying. I was super apathetic.
But you've been deplatformed off social media,
Yeah.
which you went from being the guy to now not having a platform.
At all.
Then you move in with a guy who I'm sure well-intentioned was like, hey, I don't, who knows?
Yeah.
But goes, hey, I don't want you shouldn't speak.
Yeah.
As you're getting offers to fly around the world with some of the biggest names in Christendom
Yeah.
to speak to tens of thousands of people,
Uh-huh.
and now you're preaching to a tree outside. You looked like a crazy person.
I was wild.
Shaved your head, beard, and now you're out walking, crying out to God, finally being honest, which I love that. You're like, I'm done, God, but I'll still believe. And then a freaking hawk shows up. You do realize people are going to think you're absolutely crazy.
Insane. Yeah.
But good thing you sent me a video.
I got a video of it so people could freaking believe me.
Danny, I'm going to send you this video. If you could throw this thing up there so people can see a hawk on David Latting's hand.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's nuts.
And I remember just thinking, of course.
Yeah.
Like, because we had talked
So
a little
nice.
bit prior, and you were just really struggling.
Dude, yeah.
And everything I just knew about you, I mean, you guys can hear it as he's talking, just radical. And the Lord shows up when you're finally honest, right? You're finally at a point where you're at your wit's end in the dirt. And then you make the choice, like, I'm going to believe anyway.
It's the choice, man. It's always been the choice for me. Where when I got saved at camp, I saw the trees, I saw the stars, and I said, I'm going to choose to believe. It's not that hard. And then honestly, back at that hawk encounter, I'm going to choose. Actually, Lord, I'm going to let go. And I wasn't struggling. I wasn't dying of hunger. I wasn't freezing. It wasn't any of that. It was an emotional thing. Jesus, I choose to let go.
Yeah.
My platform, I could have chosen to hold on to that, but it was just like, I can't control.
Yeah.
Let go.
Yeah.
It's always choice. It's always faith.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, do you have time for maybe one more story?
Please.
Okay.
Please. Yeah. I mean, that's a great thing about podcasts is there's no running time.
Yeah, true.
We don't got to get this reel by 90 seconds.
True, true. Well, there's another crazy story of just the kind of this isolation period for me, which was, I believe, obviously was the Lord, because it formed so much of me as a Christian. I had a dream one night, and in the dream I was walking in the field, the same field and place that I encountered the hawk. I would walk there all the time, and in this field, in my dream, I was walking and I was chasing a bug, and the bug landed on the grass, and I was going to look for it. There's a copperhead, and my hand touched it. I go, whoa, and I jump up from the dream, and I wake up like, what the heck? My heart's beating. I'm like, that was freaky. I got shivers, like, dang, like that was crazy. I got jump scared by this snake. So walking in the woods on the path, I see a snake, copperhead. I'm like, whoa, and the thing almost bit me. I'm like, dang, that was crazy. But for some reason, I knew in my heart, I was like, I have to go to that field today. I have to go to that field. So I take my testimony stick with my story carved all within it, and I'm walking in the woods. I'm walking. I walk for an hour. Nothing. I'm praying. I hear nothing. Walk for 2 hours. Praying. I hear nothing. I get tired. It's Texas. It's summer. I wore jeans that day.
Why?
I do not know. It was hot. And I laid down on a rock in the woods. Big stone. And I'm laying there, and I think to myself, what the heck was that dream? And I sit up, and there's a copperhead, like right where this table is, like a foot away from my foot, coiled with its head bobbing like this. And I'm like, it was literally just like my dream. Same snake, everything.
Yeah.
I go, oh. And I grab my stick, and I just go,
Let's go.
and I just freaking pound its head in. I like decapitated this freaking snake.
Yeah.
I'm not some,
I hate snakes.
I freaking
Good
hate
for
snakes.
you.
And copperheads, dude, they suck. They're actually kind of calm, but it was right next to my foot, and it was in a striking position, like curled up, head up, like looking at me. Oh God! And they're so fast. It was crazy. I'm like, how this thing not nip me, dude?
Yeah. So what did that mean?
Well, I stick my testimony thing in this guy's head.
Yeah.
Like in this, I'm shaking because of adrenaline, because this venomous snake was at my foot, and I step back, and hey, the Lord speaks clearly again. This was about 2 months after the hawk encounter, still going through trials in my head, tribulations, all these things. And he says, see, David, it's your testimony that kills the serpent. Because, I walked back. I let go of the stick, and it was muddy that day. So the stick was in the ground, standing by itself. This snake was just impaled by the stick.
Wow.
And I walk back, and the Lord says, the snake's body's like, it stops moving. And the Lord says, see, David, it's your testimony that kills the snake. It's Revelation 12:11. It's a Bible verse.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I didn't know it was a Bible verse. It says in Revelation 12:11, they overcame the evil one by not loving their lives. No, sorry. By the word of their testimony, the blood of the Lamb, and not loving their lives into death. Those three things. So, the word of their testimony.
Yeah.
They overcome the serpent by the word of testimony, the blood of the Lamb, and not loving their lives into death. Jesus began to meet me in that verse in a way that I never knew. And again, at this time, I didn't know that was a verse. And I go, wow. 2 weeks later, I'm crying in my room because I'm being tormented again. Jesus isn't real. He doesn't love you. It was so weird. Jesus isn't real. He doesn't love you.
Yeah.
It's like, pick one,
Yeah.
like, come on, devil. L take, bro. And
L take, devil. Try again.
Stinky butt, dude.
Butt face.
Yeah, we got
stinky
it,
butt face.
Sometimes I just stop
Savage
on
burn.
around. You suck, dude. And I'm crying out to God. I'm like, Jesus. And the only thing during this time I could say is, God, I love you. Like, Jesus, I love you. Because I thought I had to let him know that. The voice of the enemy was so loud in my head that I thought it was the same volume in his. That, like, David doesn't love you. It was this weird, I don't know. I was being convinced that God didn't see me, didn't hear me, and didn't know what I was going through. I was convinced that Jesus was not familiar with my sufferings. And It was an accident. I wouldn't have said that then. I would have said, Jesus, no, I know Philippians 2. I know, no, but I wasn't acting upon what I believed in the Bible, so to speak. I was rejecting my own worldview. You know, I wasn't holding on to the word. So I'm in my room. I'm crying out to God. I think that I need to like get his attention, basically. So that's another lie that I was facing. I was like, I need to get Jesus's attention because he doesn't know what I'm going through. He doesn't understand that I want to follow him.
Yeah.
I call it, like, I was like white knuckling it. I was like, Jesus, I love you. Jesus, I love you. And I was screaming it every day. And at this point, it was at that highest point. You know, like I was exhausted emotionally. I was just like, Jesus, I love you. 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 Like, I just kept saying it over and over and over. I was weeping, weeping, weeping. And at the time, I was reading Keeping the Blood Warm. While I was reading the book, I got on my knees and said, Jesus, I love you. Like, I love you, God. Like, I'd give my life for you. I give my life for you. And I got interrupted. Again, I swear by it, a voice in my head interrupted me. It says, Jesus, I love... He said, oh, David. But it was like, oh, David.
Yeah, like fatherly.
Yes. Don't you know that I loved you first? And don't you know that I died for you first? Because I kept saying that. Like, I'll die for you. That martyrdom, you know, that militaristic, because that's all I knew. That's like the ultimate sacrifice. God, let me give it to prove to you that I am true in what I say.
Yeah.
Like, let me give you my everything, my very life. And that will show you that I mean what I say. And Jesus said, oh, David, don't you know that I died for you first? That I loved you first. And at that moment, I realized, oh, God actually loves me. The blood of the Lamb. And I got a revelation, still to this day, that I'm like, I've never felt safer in my entire life.
Man.
And for so long on my Christian walk, I never felt safe. So I thought I had to earn. I thought I had to show, prove. Because that was every other relationship. So why not God? And it was an accidental thing, an attribute that I thought God had. Because every other person I encountered, that was the case. It was so consumeristic, so conditional. That's why I told myself not to believe mom and dad when they said I love you, because it was so conditional. My love with them and my relationship with them was so conditional. I would be good one day, or I would do something bad, and they would throw things, they would yell, they would scream. I'd feel like the worst person in the world. So I'm like, okay, God's probably the same way. I need to show him. So I'm messing up right now. I'm messing up. I'm not believing in full faith. I need to prove it. But Jesus met me and said, no, don't you know that I loved you first? That's when I got introduced truly to the unconditional love of Christ. I really met it. You know, when you're dating someone for 6 months and then you go through something hard, you know, and then you really know, wow, I actually love this person. Or you go through like an argument, or you figure something out with that person.
They're
like,
still there.
I really do love you.
Yeah.
It was like that. So I love Jesus, but it was an early relationship. It was like one of our first times we actually had testing. My relationship with Jesus was tested. And Jesus met me. So the blood of the Lamb. So the word of the testimony, the snake, the blood of the Lamb, and not loving my life unto death. The final encounter I had, I remember actually, I called you. This is crazy, you're wrapped in this. I called you on the phone.
I don't remember what this is, by the way.
No, this is good. I'm in the drive-thru of Cane's. It's my favorite restaurant ever, dude. Holy crap. I don't eat anymore because I work out, and I realize how crazy
Because I work out.
I
don't need it now. I work out now.
Well, I was fat. I was 50 pounds heavier during this time.
Man, David Latting really fell off the wagon.
Dude, low-key, dude. Beard, 50 pounds. I would eat Cane's every day, dude. I was a sad guy, dude. I don't know what's going on.
Medicating.
And so my friends call it Fat David.
Fat David.
Like, dude, because I moved to LA, then I started working out again. And I like try to eat healthier, and they're like, "Oh, dude, don't let Fat David come back."
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Fat bearded David.
And all that being said, I'm in the drive-thru of Cane's, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like, because I've had all these encounters so far, you know, but again, I'm still so exhausted. Like, the tormenting will not stop. God's not real. God doesn't love you. Nothing's gonna happen. Like, your faith is a lie. You're as good as a Muslim. You know, like that's just you know. constantly. And I'm like, I remember, oh, Jesus, I don't know what to do. I called you, and I literally told you, I was like, Ryan, I don't know what to do. I feel so exhausted. I didn't think you know the gravity of what was going on, but I felt like I was losing my faith. Like, that's like, you know, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm being beaten down so hard right now. This is insane. You said on the phone, you go, well, why don't you just trust him? He's gotten you this far. And I like stopped moving, you know. I feel like time stopped. Again, it all came back down to that choice. You know, I did it at the Hawk, but it was one moment, because then I began not to trust again. Because I was like, Jesus, when is this going to stop? Like, when is this going to stop? And that was the wrong question. I was asking the wrong question. I wanted to stop completely, but it's not about that, the Christian walk, you know. It's about like what he wants, what he needs. So and then I gave it to Jesus in that moment. I just imagine if Paul was in jail, I said, when am I going to be stopped thrown in jail? I'm preaching for you. I'm giving my life for you. Like, when is this going to stop? You know, that's how it was. I was like, I'm tired. But Paul had the same perspective. Like, my life isn't mine. Lord, I give it to you. And it was that moment in Canes. I hung up on the phone with you. Nicely. It was great. We said goodbye. And
thanks for the context.
Yeah. And I go in my room. I had a little prayer closet. I just like took out all my clothes, and I lay down in the closet, and I go, Jesus, I need you. And it was that point of surrender, that choice of letting it all go. And I was taken up like in a vision, man. This has never really happened before, but I was like in a valley, like the Shire from Lord of the Rings. I was in this beautiful green area. It's so beautiful. I literally remember looking around like this. It was like dreamy. I can't explain this, but this happened.
Yeah.
Dreamy place. And I'm like, oh Lord, you know. And I look and I see Jesus in front of me. I'm sitting at his feet. I look up. I can't see his face, but I know it's Jesus. I see him. And all he does, he just reaches down. He shows me his hand. And it has a hole in it. You know, and, you know, he didn't say anything to me, not a word, but it was an invitation of like, will you die too? Like, will you die as well?
Wow.
It was a moment where I felt lots of things from Jesus. I was so exhausted, remember, emotionally drained. Jesus, I need you. And he showed me his hand. He goes, I love you, but it's time to die. Basically. Never said a word, but he said a lot by showing me his hand. I love you, but this is yours as well. And I was taken, it was like back into my closet. I start looking around. Whoa. It's black. You know, it was like light. It was sunny.
Yeah.
Back in my closet. I go, and I like fall on the ground. I literally could not move for like 20 minutes. I felt like I died on the ground.
Wow.
And like nothing has ever happened like that again. It's been 2.5 years, not a thought in my mind ever of the torment like that before.
Wow.
Never came back. But that was it. That was like my season of Dallas, isolation and that.
And encountering the Lord with nobody, with no stage, followers slashed by 20x.
Yeah.
And you're walking in the fields, encountering the Lord. You're in your prayer closet.
Yeah.
Was it worth it?
Yeah. I think about it often. It's probably the sweetest time I've ever had with Jesus in my life. And at the time, I was sad that I wasn't speaking. But a friend, Joe Baumberger, he said to me, he goes, David, this is the sweetest ministry you'll ever have. Is just being with Jesus. It's so true. I have found that I don't run long with speaking engagements. Longevity does not come with opportunity. Longevity comes with love.
Amen.
And so that's who I found to be true, and I'm young. I've been walking with Jesus for 4.5 years. I have 60 more to go, hopefully. But I know at the start now that it's not about the followers, because they lose, they go. It's not even about your reach or your influence, because God can use anyone. You know, when I left the platform, people came up, replaced me almost. You know, like they would just come. You know, Billy Graham was big. Now he's dead. Did Christianity stop? You know, like, does God need us? No. It's an opportunity, and I learned that, you know, the good life is a good life with Jesus. So that's where it's interesting. Like my humbling came through that. You know, me realizing that it's okay not to have 1 million followers.
Yeah, I remember this is probably a couple months ago. I took a break from social media, and I was just like hiking and praying, and I asked the Lord, because I didn't want to operate in presumption. I wanted to ask permission for everything. So I just was like, Lord, do you want me to keep doing social media? Do you want me to keep sharing the gospel on social media? And my expectation of his response would be like, well, look at the fruit. Look at how many people are hearing the gospel because of your platform, Ryan.
Right.
And I knew it was from God, because it was so what I did not expect him to say.
Yeah.
He just goes, well, do you like it?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I like it, Lord. He's like, well, me too then.
Yeah.
It was like I could have been working at Culver's,
Yeah.
you know, and he would be like, do you like it? Do you experience more of me in the middle of
Yeah.
flipping those burgers?
It's
Like,
so funny.
He doesn't need us.
He's such a dad.
He's a dad, dude.
Like he's dad.
He is dad.
Like, even when I was going through my, like, God, like, and the hawk came, 2 months of not saying anything, you know, like really seeing what would happen. You know, he goes, pick it up. It wasn't, pick it up, my son.
I know, yeah.
You know, it was like, pick it up. Or, you know, I love you too. I love you more than you love me, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, hey, champ, come on.
And it's always relationship based. Like, I'll never forget the first time I heard the voice of the Holy Spirit. I've never heard audibly.
Yeah.
I was talking to Asia Brown about this. I was telling you about her earlier. She was our first episode. She hears audibly, and I've never heard audibly, but the clearest I've ever heard the Holy Spirit, like in my head, in my gut, my spirit, is when I was striving to do ministry. We were on a mission trip. I was leading this mission trip in Portugal, and we're about to do this big thing. Like, literally, I had a kid go into psychosis and start like having visions of like murdering people. And so like the whole thing is like just nightmarish mission trip. I had to stay up with him for like 2 straight nights. And I'm like about to go preach the gospel to like all these kids in Portugal. And I'm like crying out to God, like how tired I am and how hard I've been working. And he just very clearly goes, Ryan, fatherly, right? The fatherly tone. Goes, Ryan, do you not know that I care more about you than what you do? And it's always that with him.
Yeah, it is.
It's always, your value is not in what you do or your accomplishments or going across the country or across the world to speak, or the followers or the view count or the likes or the acclaim or the money or anything like that.
Right.
It is, do you commune with me?
Right.
Do you know me?
Yeah.
And more importantly, do you know my love for you?
Right.
And that's just so cool that that's what he began to whisper. So
Yeah.
how'd you come out of that season? Obviously you're in LA now. I'd
in
like to
LA.
talk about that a little
Go
bit too, about
Dodgers.
no, go Padres. Bro. It's a gross shirt.
It's
For
epic.
those of you who can't see, he's got a really gross shirt on.
It's super perfect.
So talk to me about kind of transitioning
Yeah.
out
Well,
of that season.
I think Jesus knows what he's doing, because
I agree.
I
Fully agree on that one. Yeah.
It's good. Glad I got that check. I then, after that encounter, I felt so called to move to Los Angeles, California, with my best friends.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and these guys.
And you got your TikTok hair back.
Oh yeah, TikTok hair back. Yeah, so
That was
bald.
honestly a prophetic word I got.
Yeah.
I
Talk about it.
I was almost embarrassed to tell you this, but I was praying one day, and I very clearly heard the Lord say in prayer, David needs his TikTok hair back. For those of you who can't see David Latting right now, he's got the front flow, the Gen Z front flow.
You know it. It's crazy. It's a wave. It's so sick. I love it so much. But yeah, I needed to get my funny on again. Like, I think Jesus knew I needed to laugh and enjoy.
You need to go hang out with 19-year-olds.
I needed to go hang out with 19-year-olds.
Yeah.
And be a 19-year-old again.
Yeah.
So I moved to LA and I moved with these freaking comedians. That's what they do for a living. They're on TikTok and they make the craziest videos.
Give them some shout out.
Okay, my boy, Frankie Lagana. Frankie is fun. He's my roommate. He's like my closest friend who does the comedy stuff. My friend Gabe helps him a lot. They make like Saturday Night Live-esque videos, but with the Gen Z twist. So they're just very crazy.
Yeah, they're hilarious.
They're hilarious. I freaking love them. And then one of my best friends, Elijah Lamb, he makes Christian stuff too, but he is freaking funny, dude. Mm-hmm. He is just a loose cannon. And all the guys I lived with were just young. We're all single at this time, all bachelors. And we're living a bachelor-esque life, but like radical bachelor. Like every night we're going out, we're driving at 1 a.m. We're getting like things to cheese and throwing on people's windshields and skidding off, you know. Being
yeah. When you say bachelor lifestyle in LA, people get a certain picture.
Yeah, I gotta
not
be
the picture.
Not the picture.
These dudes are.
We're throwing.
You are going to the parties.
Oh yeah, we are going to parties and stuff. I'll get to that in a second. But we're like, when I say like we're going like, you know, cliff jumping.
Yeah.
You know, and like that kind of stuff. We're not doing like, you know, drugs and
no cocaine at nightclubs.
Yeah, nothing like that. But we did go to
occasionally,
nightclubs.
But you know, everything in moderation, right?
Yes. Sometimes, you know, like
sometimes you drink some of the heroines. Yes. Smoke the alcohol.
Drink the yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
But these guys, they're crazy Christians, like radical Christians with crazy influence in the secular world.
Yeah.
And so they're like sitting in rooms that everyone, you know, in the world would want to be in, like top names, you know. And like all the famous influencers they know, they've met, they've done videos with some of them, even actors. Frank just did a video with like people from 21 Pilots, like like notable stuff, you know, not just like TikTok famous people, but like, you know,
Mr.
like,
Beast.
Yeah, like stuff like
big dogs.
So they have like access to like crazy parties. They get invited because they're influencers, but they're crazy evangelists, and so we go to these parties. And we'll walk up to people and we'll pray beforehand. We'll get images in our mind of people wearing a striped sweater or something like that. And every time, dude, we go to these parties, there's a kid wearing a striped sweater. And we're just so confident in Jesus, you know, and what he's done. I just voice cracked Jesus. He's 21 still.
Yeah. You'll get through puberty soon.
It'll be good.
Yeah.
And we'll walk up to this kid and be like, "Yeah, you're not supposed to be here. You hate this. Jesus misses you." Oof. And the kid will just start crying in the middle of the party, like fully tatted up guy, you know, just like dance to the music, like, "Hey, bro," it's like, "What's up, dude?" You're not supposed to be here. He goes, and starts crying. Wow, it happens all the time. It happens so much. We're like, dude, let's throw our own freaking party, but fill it with like 60 missionaries, and on Sunset Boulevard, on a club, real club. Not a house party, like full on Boots and Bellows or it's a real club on Sunset Boulevard.
Boots and Bellows isn't gonna let you in anymore now. You shouldn't have dropped that name.
I know, maybe not, huh?
We'll cut it.
All right.
We won't cut it.
But like a real club, and it's like $10,000 a table. Like, this is real. It's LA.
Yeah.
And our friend, she was in the kind of OnlyFans industry, but she got saved radically.
Yeah.
Gave away all of her money, became a like full follower of Christ. Epic story. But she has still a lot of favor in the secular world because she's just a sweet girl, and people will just, you know, in LA they love authenticity. So if you're authentic, they like you. And this girl is just authentic, so
because they're desperate for it.
Literally desperate.
Because they have put on a facade for so long.
For like 30 years.
They don't even know what authentic means. So when they see it, they're like, "Ooh, what is that?"
We love, and you know, all of our guy friends and all of our whole friend group were just like the most like raw dudes. You know? I just cried, you know, it's like 20 minutes ago. Cause
it was
how we roll.
It was so embarrassing.
Yeah,
we'll cut it. We'll cut it from the podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But like that's just how we roll. Like we don't care. You know, we just go for it. And all the dudes are like that. And we go to this party, we get crazy access because, we're lit, and we fill it with like 500 people, like porn stars.
Yeah.
There's some sketchy dealers there, like weird guys.
Mm-hmm.
Like just like, we're gonna freaking fill this up. It's an LA party. We're gonna fill it with LA people, like the worst of the worst. And we're also gonna fill it with 60 circuit riders, missionaries.
Circuit Riders is a mission group.
Yeah, it's a mission group. Yeah, 60 circuit rider missionaries, young missionaries, about our age, like aged from 20 to 25.
Double agents.
Yeah.
Double party agents.
Yeah. So we're all wearing black. We named the party like
the Black Party.
it was like Death to Life or something like that. Like we did. Yeah, we did.
Kind of like LA edgy, but still the
but
biblical.
it's a Christian, you know.
Death to, like metal bands
literally
start showing up.
Well, the thing, the way we marketed it was come to die, but it was like die to yourself, you know.
Yeah, but like all the emo kids are like, yes.
Yo, literally, it's all, we dressed all black. It was so fun, and we go out and we just go to this party, and I was 20 at the time, and so I snuck in, used a fake ID to get in my own party.
Just a classic missionary fake ID.
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah. I've used a
it.
few of them.
Dude, it's lit. But I got in and we went for it, and it was so epic, dude. This party was wild. It's so demonic. It's crazy music, horrible. But we would go up to people like, I'm gonna be raw. There was like 2 girls just like making out, and one of our girls just like went up to them and was like, "Hey, stop!" And like took and preached the gospel to her in the bathroom.
Whoa.
This girl ended up crying and stuff, stuff like that the entire night. And yeah, it is radical. So I moved into that, like just radical, deep evangelism with my best friends. Then I met my fiance.
Whew.
I know, Isabella. She's incredible.
Yeah.
The best woman I've ever met. And so God really helped me out. He's like, here's Dallas, Texas and stuff for you. We're going to give you fun. And so it's been such a journey of like learning to laugh again, kind of. Not like that I lost it, but Dallas was hard.
Yeah.
But Jesus knows what to do. And so I've learned to smile too. And, he's guided me and protected me through it all. And now I'm here in San Diego.
So what are you doing for content now? What's your thoughts on content? I know you and I talk about this a lot, but you've kind of done the tour now. You went like crazy TikTok famous, the guy, banned multiple times. You've kind of come back a little bit, but like, where's the Lord leading you? I guess I don't want to just like make that question about content. Just in terms of missions, in terms of ministry, in terms of life, where's he leading you?
Yeah, that's good. Well, I've come back a little bit. I've got a little following again, doing what I've done. And it's never felt quite right. And me and you, we've talked about it. But I'm so excited. There's such a deep maturity. Not like crazy deep maturity, like I'm some theologian. But
been through some stuff now.
Yeah, a deeper maturity of just like, there's more for me. To create things that I thoroughly enjoy. Because whenever I pray about it to Jesus, it's always just like, have fun. I believe like I just love art. I love music. I love experiencing things. One of my favorite movies is Oppenheimer. And in the movie Oppenheimer, he's at Cambridge. He's talking to one of his favorite professors. And he's like, I love physics, but I don't fully understand. And the professor stops him and goes, it's not about reading music. It's about, can you hear the music? And I've never been able to like understand deep things, like crazy to this minute detail, like a John Lennox or like these scholars. But I'm like, no, but I can hear it, and I can see the beauty in it. And I literally love going to museums. I was just in England and London and Edinburgh, Scotland. And me and my friends, we go to old churches.
Edinburgh with the bros.
And we go to old churches to just experience church history, cathedrals, and I cry in these cathedrals. And I go to art museums, and I sit in front of paintings, and I cry in front of these paintings. So my mind is geared that way, of just like,
And you film it and put it on the gram too,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. Whenever you cry, you have to film it. and
Gotta
put
film it, dude.
Yeah.
Gotta get the views.
Yeah. That's how you go viral.
And I love just going deep. So I think my content now is going to stay evangelistic, and I want to preach Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm excited for a new aspect of it. I'm excited to like do it in such a way that I enjoy. Not that I didn't enjoy it in 2020, 21, you know, like that area.
It was beautiful.
It was awesome. But I think there's more to me now. There's more to me that I can bring. Whether that brings in, you know, the influx of just many people like it did, that's great, but I'm not doing it for that.
Yeah.
And so now it's been a wrestle, like I said. Remember in the beginning, I was like, dude, I don't know. Like it's been hard because I feel like I'm not being as successful. But now it's the point. I think Jesus has led me, even this recent couple of weeks, of just like, no, I just want to enjoy it again.
Yeah. Do you like it?
Yeah. Do you like it? Do you want to do this? It's not about, because when I first started, when I was 19, 18, I was like, I'm going to change the world now. I'm going to try to reach as many people as possible. Like I was like, this is what I'm burning on my heart. I had 30,000 followers on TikTok. I was making silly videos, and I said, I don't care if I lose all of my followers. I'm going to start making Christian videos now. And that video got 2 million views, and it blew me up. And I've held that perspective. And I think it's gotten stronger now. It's like, I don't care if this blows up. I'm just going to do it.
Yeah.
I think Jesus honors that a lot more.
And it's authentic too.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That we have a world dying for authenticity.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's where I'm going. Hopefully it suffices your question.
It does. I think it's beautiful. And I think it's we have a world that's obsessed with being known. And we have a world that's obsessed with encountering the real and the authentic.
Yeah.
And it seems like those two are at odds oftentimes. And what it sounds to me like is you have in this death, this beautiful death, you have, which started way back in the day, it's kind of continued in different shapes and forms, but you've continued to die to yourself and say, Lord, what do you want to do? And the whole time he's just been like, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
You're my son.
It's a kicker, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you like it?
Do you like it?
Yeah. Well, excited, man. Go check out David on
Do it.
wherever CDs are sold.
Dude, can you imagine?
Check out David Latting on the gram, on the talk, on the tube.
Kind of on YouTube. I have like a sermon on there from when I was like 16. It's so funny.
Nice.
So maybe not.
I'm sure the TikTok hair was flowing at 16.
Dude, it was nice.
It was good hair.
It was lit. Now, when I was in high school, I was playing soccer, and I had like a man bun.
Nice.
A little man bun. It was so bad.
I see. If I just grew it out, I'd just get a fro. I used to hide pencils in my hair.
No way.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I would hide pencils in
That's
there, and then
funny.
I'd start pulling them out. People were like, "What?"
Part
So
trick.
I wish I could. I wish I had your flow, bro. Well, love you, man.
I love
Thanks
you
for
too.
being on the podcast, guys. Thanks for being with us. If you could share this with someone that you think would be encouraged by it, that'd mean a lot. We want people to hear about Jesus. The whole point of this podcast is I want you to see what's possible with faith, and you've got a guy at 21 charging after Jesus,
You know it.
in literally fake IDing into clubs to tell people about Jesus.
And it worked.
And it works.
Nice.
Lawbreaker,
Yeah, dude.
felon over here.
It's bad, huh?
Yeah, love you, man. Thanks for
Love
being
you
with
too.
us, guys.
See you guys.